welcome to Let Jamie Talk. I'm Jamie, and I'm here with Ben.
Yeah.
And we've been on spring break this week, and I was going to tell you a little bit about what I was doing over my spring break.
You were on spring break too?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Now, your kids, how old now?
3.5.
3.5. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're not quite in the school schedule yet, right?
Mm-mm.
You got Nana comes and takes care of the boy while we're videoing here.
Sometimes, yeah.
That was good to see Sandy a minute ago. I was going to share real quick. I've got some mail that came in to the podcast here, and it's actually music.
No.
So I got these. I guess these are CDs because that's the format here that can get mailed, right? So a person here has this is original music by Andrea Morse.
Oh.
I hope I said that right. And thank you, Andrea, for sending this in as we shared some of our love for music and things like that in an episode or two ago. And she was inspired to send me some of her original music.
That's pretty cool.
I'm excited to listen to it. She even said, now get this, if we want to use it anywhere, like on YouTube.
Oh, yeah, we got permission.
Then we have at least, well, no, actually, I got written permission.
Yeah.
But she said, just give me some credit,
Yeah.
Of course, we would do that. So
Dang.
Anyway,
That's
thanks
cool.
again for that. Looking forward to giving it a listen.
Pop that in. You got a CD player in the truck?
You know what? I actually do still have a CD player.
Yeah.
And I know they're on the way out, but I still do.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Do you have that big folder with all your discs?
I do. I have.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many of those I have. We have actually bookcases full of CDs.
Really?
In like Rubbermaid containers full of CDs. Like all of the music my wife ever had, she still has it.
Wow.
We've still got all the tapes. I've got stacks of tapes. Now
Do you have a 100-disc changer?
100-disc changer? I don't. I never did. I had a 5-disc changer once, and I don't know where it went, but it used to be the big thing.
I had one of those in a car.
Yeah, in a car. If you had the disc changer, like you could put it anywhere in the car, like put it in the glove box.
It was in the middle console.
Wire it into the thing, and yeah, that was a good time, I guess.
Yeah.
I never had one. Only the cool kids like you had those.
Yeah. Well, what did you do on spring break besides check your mailbox?
Well, we were going to go to Florida. Okay. We live in North Carolina. And so Florida is a great destination for getting somewhere warm, sand in the sun and all that. But have you ever sat in a vehicle for 8 hours with 3 kids that like to pick on each other every 10 seconds?
No. That's, it's not for me, I don't think.
I love my kids and all that, of course, but they really know how to get on each other's nerves, And so in an effort to prevent an ongoing 8-hour thing like that, we decided to take a more local vacation, which I've never really done a mountain vacation because I live in the mountains.
Right.
But we went to Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's a thing. People flip-flop. You want what you don't have. People in the mountains go to the beach. People from the beach come to the mountains, right?
Right.
I don't know what other people do that don't live in the beach or the mountains.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. So we had a good time though. You been to Chattanooga?
No.
You
just
haven't?
through it. I've never spent the night.
You look like you kind of guy that might go there.
Well, I think I might have to one day.
We did all the touristy stuff. Okay. And I think that was just like our introduction.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot more. I wish that I had.
Did you stay like downtown somewhere or outside?
We stayed outside of downtown, like 10 minutes, I think. And the number one requirement for us picking a good hotel is, does it have a heated indoor pool?
Oh.
And how warm is it? Because I'm really, dude, if the pool if it's too cold.
You want it like pee warm.
It was barely warm enough. I got in, I had a good time, but if it was a little colder, I would have been unhappy.
Gotcha.
I would have not have been as fun of a dad as I want to be.
Would you have said something to management?
I probably would have. I probably would have broke into that room right beside the thing that had the thermostat on it and just turned it up. No, what's silly though, they had the AC like so cold in the room.
Oh, so that the water felt warmer.
Once I got in, it's like, once I got in, I was like up to my neck. I was like, I'm not getting out because I got out and it was freezing cold. Anyway, all right. So we did a couple things that were really cool.
Okay.
We went to this place called Ruby Falls. You heard of it?
I have.
You know what it is?
It's a waterfall.
It's a waterfall underground.
It's into a cave or in a cave. Yeah.
Yeah. So you take an elevator down a like 300 foot deep shaft into the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thanks for clarifying.
that's where you go
Yeah.
in the earth. And then you get out and you hike down this cave like area for about a half mile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty, low ceilings. And then you open up into this one big room. It's probably 100 feet tall and maybe it's sort of round, maybe a 30 or 40 foot diameter. And then there's like a waterfall from the top. It's amazing. Who would have thought?
Everybody like that?
I just wonder how they found it. Whoever found it. How do you find it?
Spelunkers.
How do you find that? And it was done in like the 20s or the late 1920s, 30s, something like that. So this thing's been around forever. It's a big attraction. So that was a lot of fun. And then we went to another attraction called Rock City.
C.R.E.W. City.
C.R.E.W. City. I saw Rock City.
Yeah. Did you see 7 states?
I couldn't tell. But they said that I saw 7 states.
I know.
So did I really though?
If they had, like what the NFL uses for those lines, you know, that line of scrimmage.
They
that's what they should have.
They should have marked them out.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It's kind of radial from the viewing point. Now, I'll be honest. I liked it. Rock City was very cool. But I was like, I'm scared to get close to the edge, because it's like a big cliff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird. They have handrails in some places. In some places, they don't.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to get close to that edge. And so anyway, it was fun though. I probably won't go back like anytime real soon.
Aquarium?
We did the aquarium, did the freshwater and the saltwater aquarium.
Some restaurants.
I think it's 2 different. Anyway, amazingly, the freshwater side was like bigger and more stuff. I thought the ocean side would be bigger, but
yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah. Have you been to Atlanta's aquarium?
I don't think so. I haven't been to Atlanta really.
Been
to the Gatlinburg.
Yeah. So you may not go back super soon. Is that what you're saying?
Not super soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I would still recommend it for anybody that is over there to go. Yeah, it was a good time. I've seen a lot of rocks. Okay. I saw a lot of rocks everywhere I go. There's rocks. You gotta
be into
that.
geology.
Yeah. And you can't be too, what is it when you go in tight spaces and you,
claustrophobic?
That.
Yeah.
You can't be that.
Right.
Because some of them are pretty tight and you might freak out and you're underground and you're with 50 people and you can't get out fast. And my son kept saying, why is there fire extinguishers in here? What's going to catch on fire? There's nothing in there but rocks.
Gas.
I guess. I don't know. You can never be too safe.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like a good trip. Everybody had a fun time and you didn't have to stay in the car more than 3 hours.
3 hours. It was a pretty short ride. Beautiful ride.
Yeah.
Through the gorges. The branches or the leaves are coming out and all that.
Yeah.
Starting to turn green and it's not too cold. I'm tired of cold, man.
Yeah. That's cool.
So what about you? Did you do anything fun?
Well, it wasn't spring break really for me, but we did take, my weekend is Tuesday, Wednesday. And so we took a guy's trip for a friend's bachelor party. Nothing crazy.
Right.
Surprise, surprise. But we just went across the mountain.
He winked at me. On this side, you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
He winked. Nothing crazy.
Link with left eye wink. Went over to Pigeon Forge for a night.
Oh yeah.
And did all the fun. Not actually all. We just ate some food. Did some go-karts.
I was going to say, tell me you rode some go-karts.
You got to ride go-karts.
Did you ride the fast ones?
Yes.
Okay.
Extreme Racing Center.
Really?
Yeah,
and did they actually go fast enough for you?
They were pretty fast, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if
I like the go-karts.
It was one of our buddies had a blown out tire on one of the races and caused a bunch of confusion because they were trying to get him off the track, and like.
Oh, that's a pain.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, one time we went and my kids, they want to ride the faster ones, the fastest ones they're allowed to ride. And they're like 10 and 12 now, my boys. So last time we went, did you go on one that had the spiral?
No.
And it's wood.
That's not the fastest one.
Okay, well that's the fastest ones my kids are allowed to drive. Okay, so we're driving that one. We all 3 have separate carts now. At least they don't have to ride with me.
Gotcha.
And dude, this thing's made of wood. It's like a old dock is what it looks like at the beach. It's got big
Yep.
pillars and wood boards. I can't believe they make these things out of wood. But anyway, I'm distracted by that while I'm driving. I can't think about driving. I'm looking at how they built the thing. So they have the spiral thing. It's probably 3 loops. You drive all the way to the top and then it just goes in a circle. And I was coming around and there was a go-kart like turned sideways and stuck in the way. And it was my kid. And he was like freaking out, of course, because there's other go-karts just flying through there. And then of course they shut the whole thing down, make everybody stop. And then somebody has to run all the way up there, which is a long way for an employee to get up there. And they got him straightened up and you're not supposed to get out of your cart.
Right.
So what do? You just sit there.
Yeah. Well,
So I felt bad for him, but he
your cart will sort of roll away too. I don't.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to get smacked by another cart, I guess.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, we had it was a flat track.
Track, yeah.
But it was called the Extreme Racing Center, and they had it was actually a pretty unique setup. If you went to the right side, you did the track one way, and you went to the left side. They had 2 sets of carts, so you could do the track in reverse.
Okay.
But it was a good setup because like once these people were done, these people were already in their carts ready to go.
Oh, wow.
So as far as business idea, like they were able to pump through twice as many probably because they already had people sitting in carts ready to go.
No, that's
brilliant.
It
in reverse. It was like a 6-minute plus ride, to do that. And, it had a hairpin turn in there that was fun to slide yourself around.
Did you actually have to use the brakes?
No, not at all.
Okay.
My left foot wasn't on the brake at all.
The governor.
No.
Oh, wow.
But that was a good time. But one of the coolest things we did, I think, was we forged our own knives.
No way.
Yes, we did. I brought it.
You forged a knife.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
We did. Check that out.
You didn't make this.
Yeah, sure enough.
Out of a piece of rebar.
Yep.
I do like that. Okay. Wow. This actually looks professional. You made this.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
That's
really good.
You start off with a piece of rebar. And they had pony shoes and horseshoes you could do, which are a softer metal and easier to forge.
So you hammered this. You heated it up in a forge.
So they would heat. So they had their little firebox that they would heat the metal in, and they would bring it out to the anvil or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
And they would control they had a mallet for using to shape. You were in charge of the hammer and all of the power put behind it, and they were just. You were hitting that mallet and they were shaping it and moving the knife.
So you, okay. So, you physically hit it, or is it like one of those automatic ones that's like
you physically hit it.
Okay.
I'm still sore.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I will say I'm impressed. It actually, not even joking, it looks amazing.
They had a railroad spike that you could have done, and I was glad I didn't choose the railroad spike after doing this because it's about twice as thick.
Hard work.
It was hard work. It was fun because there was 6 of us, and like. Not everybody was prepared for that, let's just say, and they were like spent.
I bet. Was it hot in there and you're sweating?
It wasn't actually that hot.
Smells like coal.
If it would have been normal, like summertime weather in Tennessee, it would have been toasty in there.
Yeah.
But they had a good exhaust, but it was a Circle Bar T-Forge. You should take your boys.
My kids would love it.
Dude,
my kids would love to make knives.
It was a good time. He said he does like a beginner blacksmith course too.
Yeah.
Like where you can get in there and learn more than just,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
I don't want to say it's becoming a lost art or something like that because I don't really know if it is getting less and less. But I would just assume the general public level of interest is maybe low.
Yeah, but as far as like a touristy thing to do, like it wasn't.
Who gets to do that? I've never done that.
And you walk away with something that's like going to last.
I mean, if you had to buy the knife, you'd be paying for it anyway.
Right.
And you got to make it.
Yeah, it's like those places where you go and they give you a raw piece of meat and you get to go cook it yourself. Have you ever been to a place like that?
No, I didn't know there was a place like that. Is it the grocery store?
No, there's restaurants like that.
And you cook it.
Yep.
And they bring you some fire.
It's like a big open, like wood fire pit that you go up to.
Your bachelor trip is
for you. That's not what we did this time.
I was going to say.
That's not what we did. No.
You had a good trip planner.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
I was a trip planner.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that's why. Yeah. That's why. Okay.
I
haven't been on any that were like anything that fun. I don't think.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fun.
I don't have any friends getting married either. So.
Mm-hmm. I think this is my last one.
I don't think I went on one or two in my whole life.
My last friend getting married.
Is it?
Yeah, at least for the first time.
Okay.
No,
well, yeah, there's. Oh no. Come on now.
You don't get a bachelor party for the second one.
No.
No.
I don't think most people want one if they get married again. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but that was my spring break.
Okay.
So we had a good time. We get to go on
productive.
a guy's friend trip maybe once every 5 years. So that was it.
I don't really go on guys' trips.
Yeah.
My brother does. He has his college roommate buddies, and they do go on trips and have fun. Now, I think my wife, she goes on trips. She tries to at least once a year with her college roommates.
Right.
And they try to all meet up, and they stay connected and all that, and that's really great. But see, I didn't go to college, and so I don't have any college friends or roommates.
Yeah, I don't either. It's okay. I commuted, so.
Porsche driving experience, guys trip.
I mean, we could create our own guys friends trip.
Brett just said we should do a Porsche driving experience.
I would love to.
Yeah. Well, there's one actually. I've told you about that one over in Andrews Murphy area or whatever. That one's around here. It's called App.
The Atlanta Speedway.
Brett just did the BMW driving experience with his daughter to let her drive and stuff.
She's only 18.
She's 18, and that's I think the only driving experience place that'll let somebody under 21 or something drive.
Right.
And I'm sure it was awesome. I actually want to do that with my dad because I think he would love it. He's a big car guy.
Yeah.
And I would have fun too, of course. So
yeah.
Hey, I want to tell you a couple. So I watch a lot of YouTube and I watch a lot of Facebook videos.
Okay.
The Facebook videos are all short, right? Well, most of them.
Did you just call it the Facebook? Or are you saying the Facebook videos? It used to be,
it's whatever.
I got you.
The
all
Facebooks, the YouTubes, it's all the same. And I saw two really interesting videos this morning.
Okay.
One is that it's about building. Okay, in Colorado.
Okay.
They're talking about building houses on expansive soils. Now, that's not soil that costs a lot. Okay.
Or that stretches out really far.
That's it moves. I guess they have a certain kind of soil, and maybe only in certain places. And in the basement, all the non-structural walls, not the perimeter walls, but the interior walls, non-load bearing interior walls, they're floating in what because there's so much water in the basement.
Right.
No, just kidding. Because apparently if the soil under the slab gets moisture in it to a certain amount, it will heave, they call it, right? It'll rise up and it'll push the slab up. And so instead of having that wall that would push the upstairs floor up, they leave a gap under the wall like 3 inches. Mm-hmm. And it just blew my mind. I was like, oh,
how do they gap
goodness.
it like that?
They I guess it hangs from the ceiling, probably the wall itself. This one I saw. And then they have big nails, literally, just that the wall could slide up and down on as it could move. And I thought, wow, this is ridiculous. How can you deal with that as a builder?
Knowing that it's knowing that it's going to heave and not hoe.
And yeah, heave ho, whatever that is.
Well, hoe would go back down, right?
Is it?
I don't know.
Is that what that means? Are we talking about like
I guess
ships,
not.
like riding big waves in ships?
I don't know.
When you said heave ho, I was thinking of somebody on a boat, but that might not be related.
I don't know. We're gonna have to look into it.
We are not sure if that's related or not. Okay, so that's one thing. And if we ever talk about building log cabins, there are places in log cabins where you have to have these walls that kind of do the same thing because the logs settle.
Yeah,
you heard of that? You know about that, right?
My parents' house.
Your dad, you grew up in a log house that your dad built.
He did.
Not from a kit.
Nope.
He literally took real trees.
Raw white pine. We've stripped the bark off of it.
Okay, well we should talk about that.
Canadian
for
white pine.
A whole what?
Yeah.
Not from here?
Before the tariffs. No, I'm just there was and there's a center post that he's had to jack up, that he could probably explain it better than I can, but that's how he controls the settling.
You can adjust it.
Yep. There's like a center post right by the stairs. Yep.
I'm going to be honest. That's a nightmare scenario for me for having any part of a house that is meant to go up and down, and you have to monitor it and adjust for it.
He had to. You can see it. You could see on the walls where it moved over time, like where the trim was. Like it, like either the trim because the trim is, it's in a curve to go around the logs.
Yeah.
So he had to take it off and then you could see where the wall wasn't painted, where the log had
Dude, you're describing the things of my nightmares right now. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's awful. I mean, I'm sure it's not awful. I don't
He
mean
wouldn't
that,
build another one. I would tell you that much.
Given the chance.
Yeah, he would not.
He was ambitious.
Because you also have no flat there's like one flat interior wall, and that's the hallway that separates the kitchen from the master bedroom. And it's drywall, but everything else, is like when you go to hang something on a wall or like.
You don't have to look for a stud, do you?
Yep. Nope.
No, use a stud finder.
Think about like cabinets,
Yeah. Hanging a cabinet on a round, and this is a round log.
Yeah.
Interior and exterior. Mm-hmm. Full round. Okay. Now I have been in your house. I'm not trying to sound like I pretend like I've never been there, but it's been a really long time because your mom made all of the stuff from my wedding, like my wedding cake and all kinds of other, what do you call it? Food? Catering. That was the word I was thinking of. Catering. Yeah, food. It was great, of course, but I haven't been inside the house for a really long time. But anyway, so that was one crazy thing. Okay, walls that have to accommodate a house that's going up and down in some way. So I saw a video about that this morning, and I also saw a video of the rebuilding of the Notre Dame Cathedral, I guess. Is that right? And it burned, how many years ago? It's been a long time.
It's Notre Dame.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. I'm not from there, I guess. Notre Dame.
Yes.
Dame, Dom, Maida, Mana. All right. Okay. So it burned, right? The wood parts, at least. And I guess the rest of it, I don't know. It's stone or something. So they're rebuilding the trusses. Mm-hmm. Holy moly. I think that's when it burned was 2019. Okay, that was 6 years ago. I guess they're still rebuilding it. I don't know if the stuff I saw was current or not, but they're rebuilding these oak, I think, trusses.
Yeah.
There's 1,200 of them. I'm looking at Brett because
job,
maybe he'll find out for me. 1,200. That's a lot of trusses.
Yeah.
And they're huge. And
they should have hired the Perkins.
The worst part of it, no way. The worst part of it is that they're making these things in the same traditional construction method as they would have originally made them. Like no power tools or something, right? They're like hand hewing the edge of the log, and they're like using, of course, only like the most premium logs, right? So they like test cut into the wood, and they examine the wood and make sure they like it and it's top quality, right? So that's another thing of my nightmares is like, wow, having to hand hew every piece of wood before you even can build something with it.
Yeah.
Just like your log house thing.
Right. Well, and you brought up a good point. The one other thing, we went on a little hike on the way back.
Okay.
In the park.
Did you find a parking spot?
We did.
Okay.
We did. We stopped in Elkmont area. You know where Elkmont Campground is on the Tennessee side?
I don't.
Well, if you were like, where Cades Cove is?
I do.
It's on the way to Cades Cove.
Okay.
From 441. Not far in there, though. Just past Laurel Falls Trail. Anyway, that campground.
It's a nice kind of tour guide or what?
Anyway, that campground it's a nice spot, but there's this old town there called Daisy Town.
Okay.
There used to be 70 some structures. There's only about 19 now that the park left. They tore the other ones down. There's a bunch of chimneys and foundations left from where those were.
Okay.
But it was one of the original like tourist towns in the park, like in that area. And there's a lot of history behind it, but there were some really, really old log homes that were left. And some were definitely more modern.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever, 60s modern, but some were like 1800s. And then like you could go in these homes and then like see the hand hewing on some of these like round like support logs and all that stuff. It was really it was neat.
Yeah, for somebody that may not know what hand hewing is, because that's maybe a foreign idea or something you never heard of, to take a round log and make at least some part of it flat or straight. They like mark a straight line on it with a string or something, and then stand on the log with a funny looking axe. Isn't it a weird axe? It's like it's like flat on one side and then angled on the other side. It's not like a normal,
right?
It's not an axe like you would split firewood. It's a very special shape. So, what?
It's like a hoe, but an axe.
Oh, no, that's something else.
Yeah.
I think it's like,
Brett said it was like an axe hoe. But
so you stand on the log and you're chopping like almost at your feet the whole time. chipping away one side of the log to make one flat surface to be your reference surface, I guess, to start making a beam or a log or whatever. I don't know how do they make boards. How do they make boards? I don't know. They made beams at least. Mm-hmm. So yeah, all those. It looks like a big chisel mark right on the side of the log where it's hewn. I don't know. That's a weird word.
I don't know that they could do boards until they had the crosscut saw.
Yeah, probably not.
Like the crosscut bandsaw.
Probably not. I guess that's why they use logs.
Yeah.
Just
you should go.
Whole logs.
That's a good day trip if you guys are ever looking for a day trip for the family.
So go near Cades Cove.
Well, you know where we'll call it the bathrooms.
Yeah, I do. It's on.
Yeah, you turn on that road and go out there about 6 or 7 miles.
Okay.
Not that far.
That'll be my next Tennessee family destination.
Well, you could do that and go-karts because we did.
I'm in. I'm in.
So, yeah. Well, anyway, I think we've explored a lot outside of construction this morning.
Well, sure. Of course.
As far as life goes.
Well,
so,
we had a pretty good talk last week on starting the building process, right? Mm-hmm. And we didn't get very far.
And we covered some ground.
We covered a lot of ground. Yes, we did. I like that. We didn't actually get into the house building portion at all, really, because we got so hung up on finding good property, talking about septic systems, drilling wells, maybe some site planning, road building, other things related to that. So, maybe we could take it one step further.
I got my notebook.
You can pull out your notes? Okay, That's great. And we could even, now, me and Brett were talking about this a little bit before we even get into the next part. And what we were talking about is the fact that all of this takes a lot of thinking on the homeowner's part. It takes a lot of effort to even consider building a house, a custom home yourself, having a builder, but you being the one that's having it built. Some people do well with this because they like it, the process, or they just really want to get a custom home that they just can't find one to buy that they like. Yeah. But some people, it stresses them out so bad they just about lose their minds going through the building process because it's a lot to take in. Mm-hmm. What if, I don't know, maybe building houses is one of the few things that's like this. Like when you want to go buy a car, you pretty much go buy a car that's already built. You don't be like, go to Chevy or Ford and say, I'm thinking I want a custom car. I mean, I know there's custom car builders like hot rod shops. Okay. But in general,
right.
You're not, your average person is not going to go like build their own car.
Right.
Because they need a car. They're going to buy one. So I don't know. I wish I knew I don't know if there's some stats.
I mean, I think that's places like America's Home Place.
Yeah.
That would sort of be like going to a car dealership for homes, right?
Probably.
Because it's like we have all these models.
Sure.
And this is how much it costs to build these. And you can change this around a little bit if you want, get a little different trim package.
There you go. Go for the XLT or the
and those
Laramie package.
Those get built pretty fast.
Yeah.
I think.
I know. It's two different brands, XLT and
somebody's going to get mad about that.
Laramie. I had a Laramie once, I think. I had a Camry for a while.
Yeah.
And it was the LE.
We can't go down this road.
All right. We'll talk about cars later.
But back to homes.
Distraction.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you can do that. But a lot of people choose to go the custom route. I don't know. It's probably, I don't know if it's 50-50.
See, I don't know. I wish I knew some stats. Mm-hmm. I don't know any stats on this. But, just the idea that is stressful and it takes a lot of effort, mental effort.
Do you think people are building newer homes less frequently now than when you started?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't really have a good way to judge that, I do know that people call me every day wanting to build a new house though. So
okay.
There's that. And we should talk about tiny homes too at some point because our tiny homes, I don't know what categorically makes a tiny home, like maybe a certain size.
Maybe.
I think they must be.
I guess. But size would have to do it because they're not all on wheels. And
right.
It's still tiny.
Right. So. Now, I was going to say that's a good option for somebody that wants a home and even a custom home because I'm sure you can get them custom built.
Yeah.
And they're not as expensive, and you could move it.
I actually saw somewhere that they're actually more per square foot to build the tiny house than it is to build an actual house. But
it's condensed.
Right. So if you're doing it price per square foot wise, maybe not as affordable.
Well, that is the thing. When a lot of times when houses get bigger, you get more air volume, more space, and the concentration of things that cost a lot of money, like plumbing and electrical and all that stuff. When you divide it out into the square footage, a larger footprint would be diluted, if you will, in those costs compared to a smaller footprint. So maybe there's something to it.
Makes sense.
Maybe there's something to it. But I've never been asked to build a tiny home, but I like the idea of building a tiny home if it could be built inside. Because like working outside every day is part of my life. I've been literally every day of my life working outside and dealing with it's hot or it's raining or whatever, or I'm getting sunburned. And the idea of working under like in a I don't know if I want to work in a warehouse, but you know what I'm saying.
The barn dominium.
Under a giant covered area and building a thing.
Your barn dominium. You just got to build it right.
Yeah. I actually think I would build a barn dominium if I could build another house.
Right. And then you could live above where you're working on the tiny houses below.
Good idea.
Or, if you don't want to be up high because you're going to be old one day, so you may not want to go upstairs.
No, one level would be good.
Yeah.
We've only built maybe one or two houses that were actually handicap, like planned,
like ADA compliant planned?
Yeah, probably. Maybe not actually, but close to it at least. Only per the homeowner's, recommend requirements or whatever they wanted me to do.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a lot of people don't plan for that. And I don't know. We don't do a lot of slab foundations. So it's really hard to do a handicap accessible front porch, on a thing that's already 3 or 4 feet high off the ground or whatever.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, I think when we left off last week, we got all of the site work done. We bought the property. We got water, we got sewer, power, road. We got funding. We got some insurance. Yes. We talked to the building inspector.
Wow.
I don't know. What else did we do?
Dude, I think you're the most prepared the homeowner I've ever met.
Well, I think we got that far in our topic, I think. Brett, is that about where we got? Yeah.
We got to just about the house.
Just about to the house.
Just about the house. Wow. I think we started talking about laying out the footers and foundation, things like that.
Right.
So, the only thing I don't know that we settled in on really before we start digging the footers was, that official design. One, you either are going to buy it online.
Yep.
2, you're going to have it custom drawn by an architect, or you're going to draw it yourself.
Yep.
Or
you can do that.
Fill me in.
Well, I'll give you another option that I heard. People that build are going to love this. There was a guy that asked me to build him a house, and he's built several houses around here.
Yeah.
And he's a good friend of mine. He wants to build another house now, and his style is this. Now, and you can't get away with this everywhere. He wants to build a giant foundation and a subfloor, like a big flat surface, however big he thinks he wants, based on square feet. Maybe, I don't know, 50 by 100 or something.
Okay.
And then he just wants to walk up onto that floor and then decide where stuff's going to go. Oh, I think I want this room here. And then I think, let's put the kitchen here. And then, there's a view here, so let's put a window here, right? And so that's one way you could do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
are you ready? I mean, that's one way you could do it. I don't. Do you think you're going to have a lot of luck with that?
I guess he's done it several times. He might actually be good at it by now.
Oh.
He built some pretty big houses.
Yeah, but what about the plumbing?
You just better make it work, somehow.
Because some of that's got to be in the foundation work,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
okay, a lot of it has to be in the foundation work.
Definitely.
So it's got to go up somewhere. I guess you could just leave it stubbed up and then figure out where you're going to run it after that.
Yeah, it sounds tough. So, yeah, you got all the stuff done ahead of time as far as your land and all that. You do need a house plan. And I tell people, because people ask me all the time, where do I get a house plan? How do I find an architect? How do I, how does this work? They just don't know the process at all. And of course, that's why we're talking about it here. And I tell them to at least find pictures of stuff they like.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for myself. Like, I didn't have a house plan at some point, and I needed one. And I started accumulating pictures of things I like. And if you will, just in a short way, I just put them all to Blender and took all the things that I liked and extracted all the things that I didn't want, took them out, and designed my own house.
But if I hire you as a builder and I bring you a bunch of photos, what are you going to tell me?
Go find an architect. Okay. But that's terrible, though. I mean, it's not terrible, but I say that just because it doesn't help you a lot. Just to tell you to go find an architect, unless you just have like a friend or something that is an architect.
Right.
So, I mean, back in the old days, my dad used to design all the houses he built. So it was a one-stop shop. You just tell him what you want, and he draws it, and he shows it to you. And if you like it, you start building. And if not, you make changes, and then you like it and start building. And that was pretty simple. I think people like that. It was simple.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like expensive because he kind of included that. His preference was so strong towards building things that he designed because he would know the structure inside and out, and he would know that he wants to build it and all that he just basically included it in the build, just there was not a separate cost for that. As a builder, a lot of times you get handed a plan that somebody drew and it's really pretty, but you look at it and you think about having to build it. And the when the rubber meets the road and you think the implications of what you're going to have to do to build a house that's designed a certain way. Maybe it's tall, or maybe steep roofs, or maybe cut up roof lines, or whatever it might be. And then you stick it on a site where it's hanging off of a hillside, and then, you have a really hard job to do. So it's, having some control over that would be good in the design realm. But you can't control what people want.
Right. But but we've established that it's important to have the property before you pick out the dream house, sort of, to make sure that it's,
I think so.
That it's going to fit before you start drawing this out.
I usually recommend that, but if you have a house plan that you have
then it's just, you've got to find
then
that
you got to
perfect
find the land
piece of property
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, as maybe, I think we said this before maybe, but it's more difficult here in the mountains because there's the situation or the scenario might be so different lot to lot compared to somewhere that's maybe flat or maybe flat with hills. And you say, I want to build my house on top of a knoll. Well, you can probably find a knoll somewhere that will fit the house just fine. But around here, it doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
And people hand me sometimes like a neighborhood house plan and say, I want this house on my lot. And then I'm like, these don't match.
Gotcha.
It's not going to work. So how do you get a perfect house designed? I don't know. Oh, goodness, is terrible. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. So basically, you're out of luck.
Right. Let's say we get this house design. Moving forward. All right. You're going to start. We have the design. We've handed it to you. Ideal scenario, drawn plans, all laid out.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Oh, I'm happy now.
What's next?
People want to know what it's going to cost, of course, before they build.
Yeah.
And I get asked that. What is this going to cost? They ask the architect too, probably. I think there's too many variables for an architect to give a price. Maybe unless they know, hey, this house is getting built, every 3 or 4 months, one of these is getting complete, and it's pretty much the same house over and over. And if they get feedback on the cost, they could maybe give you a cost. But for me, if somebody says, how much is this going to cost? I just almost have to take a total guess at it based on square footage of the last house I built. Mm-hmm. I said, well, the last house was 250 or 300 a square foot, and your house is maybe going to cost the same. And multiply the square footage, but then you got decks, and then does it have a basement or a crawl space or a slab? And there's so many variables. You could make the same house cost $200,000 if you went cheapest possible on everything, and that same house could cost $1 million if you went fancy.
Yeah.
And or if the foundation was really crazy. Foundation work can get so out of hand.
Well, with that. In the design, you've already established whether it's going to be a slab, a crawl space, or a basement.
Typically, although most home plan websites have option for probably those 3.
Okay.
And so the generic one that you look at when you click on it is not necessarily, it may or may not necessarily specify that.
Okay.
So there's a thing though, that if you pick a house that doesn't have a set of stairs in it, because it's a 1-story house on a slab, and then you say, I'm going to put a basement under it. Where does the stairs go?
Yeah.
Well, they better have a plan for where the stairs go.
Gotcha.
All right. Or you're going to be walking outside.
Is there a preference as to what you want to deal with when building? I mean, crawl spaces aren't common everywhere. No. Basements don't happen everywhere.
Right.
Slabs don't happen here. Very rarely.
Yeah.
Right. So
Not
it's
much.
like, what's your perception on that?
I like a basement.
Yeah.
And I have a basement. Maybe that's why I like a basement, because it's a lot of free-ish square footage if you don't finish it. It's not free. It's less expensive if you don't finish it, but you can have tons of storage space, or again, that space that you could finish later.
Does it cost that much more to add a basement to your plan unfinished?
Oh yeah. I mean, it does. Like, say, compared to a crawl space, let's take a generic sized house. I'm totally making this up on the fly.
Yeah.
All right. Let's say your house is 30 by 40.
Okay.
That's a pretty good size house.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a crawl space foundation might cost 20,000.
Okay.
Totally making that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That same house with a basement might cost 60.
Gotcha. So yeah, quite a big.
I'm totally guessing.
But still, I mean, you're using reference of how many thirds more, it's going to cost.
100% accurate.
Right. I'm going to hold you to that.
Oh, no. But if you did all the math and you said, how many blocks does it take to build the basement wall versus the other wall, and how many yards of concrete it takes to fill those blocks, and, your footings will be the same, and so the biggest difference is the height of the wall, and then all of your backfill and all your waterproofing membranes and your foundation drain that you don't necessarily need on a crawl space. And so yeah, that's where the extra money goes, plus the slab. All right. So you could calculate that out, pretty accurately if you had a real plan to follow. And I have done that.
But it's like, for a basement though, you wouldn't see, I don't know if you see a lot of basements on a flat lot.
No, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Right. So it needs to be a little bit of a slope.
A sloped lot, which is almost all of what we have here. And so I think basements are popular here because of that reason. Sometimes you can't get a basement tall enough. You ever had that problem?
Yeah, all the time.
Do you? Mm-hmm. I mean, literally.
We almost did on plot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, some of the houses we've built.
Yeah, Brett was talking about the plot house that they had to almost, they couldn't get it high enough.
We couldn't get it high enough because the street level, we had to get a certain height where the floor system was above, the street level for parking and all that. And all right, so here's the deal. Sometimes the ground is so steep that you need a basement wall that's maybe 12 feet or taller. Now, maybe what's the average height of a basement?
Why are you asking me?
Just what do you think?
9 feet.
9 feet, 10 feet. That might be average. If you're really crazy, maybe 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
What if your site is so steep that you would have to have a 16-foot tall basement? Yikes. And they're out there. Lots of them.
Those walls are getting pretty tall.
Too tall. So what we've done in the Brock's basement walls in the house we're building right now are 10'8", I think.
Okay.
Or something like that. And or 11 foot. Somewhere he's got 9'6" clear inside the basement.
Okay.
Which it feels good. I mean, it's tall. Feels tall. 8 foot is like not that great, especially if you have ductwork hanging down. Mm-hmm. Most of the time we're using floor trusses now, so all the ductwork is hidden inside the floor system.
Right.
That's really nice. It's the best, actually, I think. All right, so what we've done in a couple of scenarios where the basement wall was too tall, and it could be too tall for a couple of reasons. One is you get into substantial cost in engineering and in the cost of the concrete wall. Mm-hmm. As you get taller, the wall has to be thicker to hold back the pressure of the dirt up against it, backfill pressure, or the real way to talk about it is unbalanced fill. So it's like somebody pushing on you and trying to push you over, you know, constantly. And if the soil gets wet, it gets even more heavy, you know, so you don't want, that's one reason you don't want any water sloping toward your house and going into your backfill or against your house, because that pressure, hydraulic or hydronic pressure, what's hydronic?
Yep.
Probably. I think it is. So, and of course your foundation drain's meant to, you know, let that water go all the way to the bottom or carry it out so it doesn't stay there. The whole point is the taller it is, the more expensive it is. And there's a limit to what you can do with conventional building methods. So we will like put a crawl space wooden framed floor in a basement to eat up about 4 feet of it or something like that. And the structure of the floor system actually provides support to the wall.
Gotcha.
And it makes it to where you don't have to have a staircase that takes up half of your floor plan.
Gotcha.
Unless you want to buy an elevator. That would take care of that. But even simple things like that, like I had this huge problem in the house I'm building right now where the plans came and there was like an 8-foot ceiling in the basement and a 1-foot high floor truss. Okay, that's 9 feet total from slab to the main level floor top.
Yeah.
Well, we decided, or my homeowners decided they wanted more headroom in the basement, so we go taller walls, and we put a 2-foot floor truss in there.
Right.
So now we added at least 2 feet to the level, basement level to the main level, and in 2 feet, that took like 4 or 5 more steps.
Right.
You have to add.
So
where do the steps go?
Yeah, that changes the pitch of the steps, right? Is that
you can change the pitch up to a certain degree to stay within the limits of code. And you know, the maximum rise where we are is like 8 inches, maybe 8 1/8 or something like that. And the minimum run is like 9 inches.
Gotcha.
So you could have a step that's 8 inches high and 9 inches long would be the steepest set that you could build, and that's pushing like 40 degrees maybe. I would give Brett to run the math.
Yeah.
What degree is 8 by 9? Okay. Typically, though, an ideal step is 7 inches tall and 10 inches long. And that produces an angle of about 36 or 37 degrees.
Okay.
That's normal. All right. So you can get into huge problems. I guess, you know, I don't know. We got pretty far off course here about this. But every little thing, this is the thing about building. Yeah, every little thing affects every other little thing, almost.
37 degrees.
You know, 37 degrees.
That's pretty close.
8 by 9.
You're 8 by 9.
No.
Rising
Is it really?
In the most common. Oh, no.
He's checking the angle of an 8 by 9. Or he's going to try to. At any rate.
Well, while he's doing that, so on Brock's house, though, you did poured foundation walls.
We did solid concrete.
Which formed. a lot of walls are just block.
Yeah, concrete blocks, CMUs.
Yeah, but what's the difference?
Here's the difference. The code book has a chart or a prescription, if you will, for a certain height of a wall based on what it's made of, the maximum height that it can be. Now, it's not just how tall can the block wall be or a concrete wall, but it's how much unbalanced fill can you put against it.
Gotcha.
All right. And I hate to explain it, but I will just because super briefly, if you build a tall wall and there's nothing pushing on it one way or another, well, it's probably not going to fall down. But if you build a tall wall and then you push really heavy on one side, okay, you get the point. That's what your backfill dirt is doing. All right. So you can build up to, I want to say 10 feet out of 12-inch concrete blocks. And of course, they'll be poured with concrete inside the blocks and with steel in them.
Rebar.
In a prescriptive way. Rebar, just like your knife. If I get desperate, I might need that knife. Put in my foundation.
Can't have it.
All right. So when you reach the limit of what concrete blocks can hold in backfill pressure, and then you get outside of what the code can approve, you know, the code can pre-approve all these scenarios of a certain height or whatever. Then you're getting into an engineer designing it, and, you know, you're paying the engineer to design you a wall instead of using a pre-prescribed or described way to do it. Concrete wall is better. It's superior. I mean, it's just stronger and more unified, you know, without joints in it. You can put all the steel in it you want without any limitations in spacing or anything like that. The concrete blocks require a certain spacing. for your steel. Not that you can't put enough in a block wall. You could put more than enough. Have you ever wondered what my dream wall would be in a basement, Ben?
I am now.
I mean, I was just hoping you might ask me what's my dream basement wall.
I was getting there, but you jumped ahead.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, one, I was going to ask, are you happy with how Brock's walls came out?
I'm happy with it. It was our first time doing a formed wall system. It was a lot of work. I'll tell you what, you talk about being sore from building a knife.
Yeah.
Standing up all these concrete forms, they are so heavy and they're just hard to put in place perfectly. And you spray this release agent all over the inside of the form. Some people do it after all the forms are set, and you can just reach down there and spray with a sprayer. But you get it all over the rebar, and some people say it matters, and some people say it doesn't matter if you get release agent all over the rebar because it's totally encapsulated in concrete. Where's it going to go? It's not going to slide out, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're telling me.
I'm telling you, it can't get out of there. So does it matter? I don't know. People, maybe there's an expert on that could say. But so we sprayed the release agent on the concrete forms before we put them in place.
Right.
So each form was fully coated so that they wouldn't stick. You can spray different things on it. You can do diesel fuel or, Pam or margarine. No. I forget. I don't know the release agent. I don't know what it is.
Gotcha.
It's slippery though, and a little bit stinky.
Gotcha.
And it makes it even harder to pick those heavy things up and set them in place. That was the whole point. Is that it's hard work.
Okay.
It's dirty work too.
So maybe not your favorite.
Because of those reasons, it wasn't my favorite, and we had difficulty getting the forms there because of the mountain. Mm-hmm. The road was literally a major obstacle for us because you can't get a semi tractor and trailer to the job site. So we had to secondary truck these things up the mountain, and it was a real pain.
Now you see where I'm going with this.
Okay.
What would be your favorite?
I don't know. I'm glad you asked, but I don't really know. No. I will tell you, when it's all said and done, I think I like a plain concrete wall the best. I mean, I think if I could just magically make it appear, I think that's the best. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're considering doing an ICF wall on our next build. You heard of that?
No.
ICF, it's insulated concrete forms.
Okay.
And they're permanent. They stay there. You don't rent a form and return it when you're done. It's giant Lego blocks.
I think you pointed this out at the building show.
We probably did. Yeah. We I can't remember what brand it was. We were at the booth. But there's a brand that we've used before. It's called Nadura, which I don't know where they're made. Maybe Canada. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of places that they're really popular, maybe really cold places, because you get like an R40 insulation value in your basement wall. And that's a lot. Like a wall insulation code here is, I don't know what it is, 15 or 19 at the most. So you get a super insulated basement wall. You get a form that is super lightweight that you can stack by yourself. You could build a whole basement by yourself and stack all the rebar in it that you want till your heart's content. And I like that. I mean, I think they're like 18 inches tall, each block. So you could at least have rebar every 18 inches horizontally.
But this will be the first time you've done that, if you do it with this house.
No, we've done it several times, actually.
I gotcha.
I built a couple garages and a couple houses with the ICF wall system.
Gotcha.
We've learned some lessons the hard way. Like, you have to brace the corners with plywood or sheathing if you have a really tall wall and you're going to shoot concrete from like 12 or more feet from the top, and it's going to go straight down in there. And, it has a lot of pressure when it plops at the bottom, and you keep just pumping it in there. We had a corner blowout once, and we had a river of concrete flowing down the mountainside out the bottom of this form. It was terrible. Now, maybe we didn't do it the right way, or I know we didn't. There's ways to not have that happen. But it was pretty disappointing to see that happen. It's anyway, you can brace them really strong and make sure that doesn't happen. But also, you're really supposed to place the concrete down inside the form. You're not supposed to just shoot it from the top and just watch it drop 10 or 12 feet. But I mean, you'd have to hire, there's a special crane that pumps concrete.
I do know.
Okay. I don't know what they're called. I'm sure they have a real catchy name, and everybody that uses them has a nickname for them. But I don't know what they're called, but it's a giant crane with a tube, a hose on it that they can articulate from a remote control, and they can lower the end of it. I don't know what they're like, 4 or 5 inches around the tube, and they can lower it straight down in the wall, like almost to the bottom of the wall, and they can fill it up and raise it up and then move over and do the same thing. That's a really great way to place the concrete. Typically, we don't have those around here as much, and it's not as common. It's more expensive to rent one. So you just get a regular pump truck, and, you shoot the concrete from the top out of a hose, and it goes down there. But,
I got it.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, you got to vibrate the concrete and all this stuff.
I feel like you could better mousetrap that scenario.
Yeah.
If you really put your mind to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean by that, but
yeah,
what does that mean?
Mousetrap? Build a better mousetrap.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Jamie Perkins it, as some would say.
All right. So my dream foundation, though, I don't think that's what it is either. Although it is probably what we're going to do next. And I like the idea of it. Oh, and one cool thing about it.
Okay.
I just found out they have one now. Nudura does, that has a removable plywood form on one side. And so you can end up with one side insulated and the other side bare concrete.
Gotcha.
So for me, I would want the exterior side to be bare concrete because you don't have to worry about covering the foam. Mm-hmm. You can't leave the foam exposed. You have to cover it with stucco or some other covering for protection, UV protection, rodents, pests,
right,
termites, stuff like that.
So styrofoam?
Yeah, termites can tunnel in styrofoam. Huh. There's supposed to be special additives in the styrofoam that is either supposed to prevent that or deter or slow down or make it not as appealing to the insect.
Gotcha.
But the termite companies around here, they don't want to treat a house that has a ICF foundation, we found out. And that was a holdup for us. We made a video about it. My brother did, Eric, and on Perkins Brothers, there's some information about that. If you're interested to search it up. Well, I'll tell you what happened real quick. Okay. And I don't really know the answer to this because my building inspector says, yeah, you can build ICF. Yeah, you can get it treated because the termite treatment is a requirement for us to get a certificate of occupancy. So any home that we build before you're allowed to move in has to be somehow treated for termites. There's different treatment options, and I don't know them all. At any rate, if a termite company refuses to treat your house, then you might be in a kind of a weird spot, Mm-hmm. So my brother bought a house that had an ICF foundation, and he wanted to get it treated just because he didn't know if it had ever been treated in recent years or anything. Well, he couldn't get any of the places to touch it. They would not even consider treating it because then they have to give a guarantee. I'm getting so excited about knocking my microphone over. Mm-hmm. They have to give a guarantee or some kind of warranty, and they didn't want to warranty their work because you can't see if there's termites in there. If they get in there, there's no inspection. I forget what they call it, but there's no place where you can see them if they're in there.
Gotcha. Interesting. Huh. Something to think about.
It is. So I think it would lessen the problem, though, if you only had the foam on the inside.
Is that something, if you're planning on, this isn't your forever home, that could affect resale or not?
I think it's such an obscure kind of problem or a not highly known problem that we ran into. And, we tried to pay the guy to come on the weekend. Hey, can you just show up on Saturday, spray this thing? I don't care. I'm not going to hold you to it. No, they wouldn't even do that. And not even, you could probably find somebody like an individual that does termite treatment. Not one of these.
Joe Bob?
Yeah, you could probably do that. I had a guy like that for a while, but now I don't know what happened to him. He's out. He's out. He's gone. I don't know where he went.
Probably got sued.
I don't know. I think he's in jail, actually. But
gotcha.
Not sure. Okay, so ICF is a good foundation, I think, for cold climate especially.
Okay.
And I think we're going to use it on the next build. I'm convinced at least that I like them enough that I think that we're going to do that. Partially because I don't want to rent forms again.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, renting forms was super expensive. And so if you're going to pay that much money for a thing, if you get to keep product that's going to insulate your home instead of, just spending the money on the rent and then it's gone, I think that's a good thing. So what my dream foundation wall would be is this. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube of people building in all other countries around the world. And I've seen people like lay bricks, like 2 rows of bricks to make a form, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And they're separated by maybe a foot or even 2 feet of space in between. And then you can lay wire or metal to connect the 2 sides as you lay it, so they're bridged together, so they won't spread apart, just like the tie pins in a regular form system. And then they pump those full of concrete or pour concrete in that. So you can have like a brick wall on both sides that's like insulated tied together concrete with steel and fully concreted in. You can make it any width that you want.
Right.
You just have to lay a bunch of bricks. The Biltmore house is made of bricks.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big house.
That is.
I mean, they thought it was good.
Been around for a while.
If it's good enough for the Biltmore, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, I got you. All right.
I don't know if I'll ever do that, but that is my dream, is to lay bricks.
You didn't say that in the episode about what you would change if you were to build your house again.
I didn't. I said I would put more rebar.
Oh, you did.
There would be a lot of rebar inside those bricks when I did that, if I ever did that. It may be silly. It may, and is it practical? No. Is it cost savings? Probably not. It take a lot of time. Is it better? Probably not. Do I still want it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do.
Well, that's good. You'll have a strong foundation.
I mean,
it's always good to start strong.
It's all downhill from there. Once you got that.
So that's foundation's done. Crawl space or basement is finished.
Yeah.
Then what?
Framing. Time to frame it.
Okay.
We do all of our own framing, and I found out over talking to other builders over the years that, I would bet the most mainstream way is that there are framing contractors. Just like you hire an electrician or a drywall guy, there's a framing guy.
Yeah.
So for builders that don't have their own crew, like I could be a contractor and not have a crew.
Right.
But that idea is totally foreign to me. It is, because I've always done like everything possible myself. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's not the mainstream way.
Gotcha.
And that's just the way that we do it, but whatever.
Which would sort of relate to how some builders are able to turn over houses faster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people think that I'm crazy because I only build one house at a time.
Right.
And how can that be profitable? And like how, I don't know how other people do it a lot, but I would assume a normal contractor is going to have 3 or 4 or 5 houses all at one time. And they are not physically doing any of the labor because you wouldn't have time to do any labor. Like,
right.
I spend a lot of my day at the job doing contractor stuff,
mm-hmm.
like calling people and paying bills and like thinking.
Yeah.
I can't be like focused on just like measuring and cutting and handing material and installing material, because then all the other stuff's getting left behind. So somebody that had 3 or 4, oh man, to keep your stuff straight and keep it all divided and knowing where the money is coming and going. And if you had custom homes, at least, it'd be really difficult dealing with 3 or 4 customers, right. Especially if they're needy. Some are and some are not.
Right.
Really quickly, I'll tell you about this guy that my dad built a house for.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Hey, I like your houses. I've seen a few of them. Just build me one just like one of your other ones, and I'll be happy." And my dad was like, "All right, what do you want to pick out? Your floors and your cabinets and your whatever, all the things that you pick out, your bathroom fixtures." Yeah. And he's like, "Nah, you pick it. I like what you do. You just pick it." And so literally that's how it went. He picked everything and he built the whole place. Didn't even have to talk to the guy really during the whole build.
And it turned out all right. Yeah,
the guy showed up, it's done, looked at it, looked just like all the other houses my dad had built. He loved it. My dad was like, "Wow, this was monumental. That was a once in a lifetime
gotcha
opportunity." And so, I mean, for a lot of reasons, it's appealing to me to consider like spec building,
right?
Because if you were a custom home builder, a lot of your energy is toward your homeowner, or for me it is, maybe not everybody, but I try to give my homeowner as much of my time as they need, and so that everything is going smooth. But if they were all spec homes, that could free up a lot of time that you're not dedicating towards your homeowner. So I don't know. There's everything, any what I mean by that is all of these scenarios are happening everywhere, custom, spec, track home, all the types of construction we're talking about.
Yeah. So you guys are, working on the framing, getting that going, that probably takes a couple weeks to do.
Yeah. A typical house might be 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You get in there, you bust it out. The more you build, the more you see, the more you get excited about watching this thing get built.
Yeah. And at this point, the homeowner, it's not great. Can they make some changes if they're like, what if they want to change something?
Mid-framing changes are usually not good. That would require a hold up, everybody stop working. We got to figure this out, go have lunch or something. But it's not really common once we're building to make significant changes in the framing.
Okay.
Small changes, yeah, sure. Oh, I don't like that wall, or oh, that's non-load bearing. I want a door in it, or I want a bigger door, or I don't want a door.
But they can't just come in and be like, well, I wanted a bathroom over here too.
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. There's too much planning involved in it. And that cannot always happen. Sometimes it could happen. It has happened. I've added bathrooms to houses that only had a few, and we added more, and some that had a spot where you could put a bathroom, but there was not a bathroom designed in it. And then we said, well, we're going to make it happen. And we've done that.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody likes having to do that. It just slows you down,
Yeah.
And something else too, that we've never built the same house twice.
Right.
We've built houses that are similar. So you have to figure out each step as you're going with each house. It's not like, oh, I've built this thing 10 times. I know this thing. I know the numbers. I know the dimensions. I could cut all the boards for this whole room without even thinking, because I remember, right? And, there are plenty of people building that way. I was watching actually in Chattanooga. I was looking at a subdivision where they were building, I don't know if they were apartments or townhomes maybe, where it's like the same house, but it's connected to another one, and there's like 10 of them connected going down a hill.
Yeah.
And I was just watching these guys up there framing, thinking, oh man, this is so much framing. I mean, they're building like 10 houses all at once.
Right.
And, there was, that was a unit of, we'll say 10 of them. And then there was another unit of 10 and another unit of 10 and another unit of 10. And they were all in various, phases of construction. Like this whole block was being developed. And those guys probably are bored out of their minds building the same thing over and over. And it's all about the hustle. How fast can I get this done?
Right.
Because you're not thinking, how am I going to do it? You're thinking, how fast can I do it?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really our mindset, because that's totally different than what we're doing. It's like, for us, it's a lot of figuring it out, because we're going to figure it out one time and then put that plan on the shelf and get some other wacky plan we never seen before and try to figure out how to build it, right? So the framing is a big, exciting part of the build. I think for a lot of people, that's the most exciting part, because you see it physically come to be, right? I mean, we went from nothing to a big thing.
Right. And it feels like it goes pretty quick too, I think.
It does,
like you get to, especially if you're dropping by every couple of days, you're like, oh, that wasn't there before.
You get that wow factor, of progress.
So, and then you're going to sheathe it. Sheathing.
Well, sheathing, be part of the framing, and that's going to be the structural outside of your house that makes it a unified unit that can't fall over. We call it lateral bracing, or shear bracing. And there's a lot of ways to do that. A lot of the old houses that we've remodeled into our rental houses here, they didn't have plywood in 1900 or 1910.
They were just board walls.
All boards.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Now, I do love a good piece of plywood. I think you know that. And I also love OSB. There was a comment, one of the comments said that there was a woman that wanted to hear us talk about the differences in plywood and OSB. We'll save that for some other time, but what a miracle product. Okay.
OSB.
The sheet good. All right. sheathing.
Okay.
It's not sheeting.
Yeah.
It's not sheeting. It could be called that, but it's sheathing, right? Every piece of sheathing to me is plywood. Okay. It's generically plywood. All right. I know it's OSB, but I call it plywood because it's faster to say. Or is it OSB, plywood? I don't know if it's faster.
You're not a big acronym guy.
No. Oh, man. But yeah, before OSB, everything had to be braced, angle braces inside the walls. And that was the only way because the siding didn't offer any structural, stability or integrity. And these houses that were built this way have been standing for 100 years with no foundation. I get all excited about these foundations and all the concrete and all the bricks and all the steel. And a lot of these are just built on rocks.
River rock.
Like almost no mortar, or some actually no mortar. They're just literally sitting on rocks.
Oh, dry stacked. Yeah.
And they're just sitting there for 100 years.
Yeah.
No problem.
No problem.
No termites, no treatments. No, I don't know. I'm sure they have plenty of problems.
Plenty of termites.
Yeah, plenty of termites too.
Yeah.
Because they had a free access, Hey, if you can climb that rock, you can have that house.
Yeah.
Termite.
Yeah, and what what we're talking about, in the past 2 episodes and all of this, like people can watch that happen every week if they watch the other channel, the Perkins Builder Brothers channel. Like you're literally going to follow along with this whole process. Yeah. And you can take your own notes as to what you're doing next.
Yeah, it's extensive. Yeah. I mean, the coverage, we'll call it, all the footage that we've taken of building these houses, start to finish. You can learn a lot from them and extract a lot of.
You're on episode 87 of the current house.
Yeah.
How many episodes do you think they're going to be?
I don't know. This is the highest numbering of episodes ever.
That's a big debate on the other YouTube channel.
Our homeowner asked if we are past the halfway point now. So if we are just at least barely past the halfway point, golly, I hope we're more than. We got to be more than we are. We definitely are. I'm convincing myself now we're more than halfway done. She wants to be done by Christmas, and it's April now. Is it April? Holy moly, I don't even know. All right, I think we can do it.
Easter.
I think we can do
weekend.
It. Oh man, this is such a long build. You just kind of go into a time warp where you just can't tell, months, weeks. We're just I don't know. We're just there. We're existing.
I think you should do an Easter egg hunt for the guys on the job.
Oh really?
Yeah, I think you should set it up where it's all there on Monday when they come in.
I don't know if I got it in me. It sounds fun. Sounds fun. Well, it may sound like we talk a lot about random stuff here during this process of different foundations and different framing and different, logs and settling and ICFs. And, we're totally very scattered, but my hope is that somebody can gather some bit of information that will be pertinent. Is that a good word? Mm-hmm. Pertinent.
Yeah.
That will relate to whatever they're trying to figure out to build. Or maybe you're not figuring out to build anything, but if you are, there are some words in this thing that we're doing that will help you.
Yeah.
For
sure. You're spot on.
Yeah.
I was just really wanted to say that just in case anybody didn't really know. A lot of the current people who listen know about the Perkins Builder Brothers channel and what it does. So, but in case you didn't know, you could watch all of this happen on a weekly basis on multiple houses.
That's right. Yeah, we've got a pretty good catalog of completed jobs now. I want to say maybe 10.
Yep. Or you can watch it and the long episodes too, where you've went back and compiled it all into a 3-hour long montage.
So right now,
it's a movie.
It is. We take, I'll say what that is just in case somebody didn't quite get it. We make episodes, and an average house might be 50 or 60 episodes to build a whole house. And then we make a thing that we call the mega cut, where we take all the episodes and condense it into that one movie-like video. That's maybe an hour to 2 hours. And right now, dude, we're stacking up so many episodes in this build. Dude, the mega cut is going to be like...
I'm sure Eric's brain is hurting about this mega cut.
Eric edits all the regular YouTube, and he edits the mega cuts. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a tough job deciding what stays and what goes. when you have way more footage than you can fit in a certain amount of time. So he's really good at that. And he's done a great job, but it's taxing and if you think about, he's made all these videos for the whole season or for every episode in this build. And then to think that he has to watch all of them again and compile them into one. This is the first time where he's really actually considering having someone else do the edit on it.
Right.
And this is his baby. It's not like he wants to let someone have it.
Right. It's going to be hard for him to, I think, let go of that.
It is. He's been on the line with some really good editors that are highly trustworthy and they do TV mostly.
Yeah.
Not other YouTube.
Right. But the thing that makes him unique is he is a builder who's editing the building show.
You kind of need to know.
He has that, not all editors are builders.
Well, we tried to get some outside editors. We tried to give them a shot. Okay. Like, let's say you got 100 videos that we took on a job site in 2 days, and those are going to make a 20-minute video. And let's say that's maybe an hour and a half, and you got to cut it down to 20 minutes and make it entertaining. All right. How do you do that? I don't know. Eric does that. I really don't know how he does it. I have tried in case, there's people that are good at video editing. I am trying to learn to video edit on my phone right now a little bit. And it's really hard because I haven't had any crash course or any of the 101s or anybody to tell me what I'm doing. Yeah. But I got this.
There's YouTube videos on it.
I need to watch. I'm using this app called Video Leap. I guess it's an app. And the reason I picked that one is because I think Eric and Ray both are knowledgeable in Video Leap, and they could teach me what to do. I literally haven't even had time to even ask anybody, hey, show me the first 5 most basic things of how this works. Because it probably does 100 things.
I can't even get you to turn your phone the right way.
I know. I'm looking at it like this. No, I know. Yeah. Well, I get it. I get it. Yeah. We are trying to let Jamie talk on Facebook and Instagram and, put out little short videos just to get exposure out there. So I am trying to film these videos myself and say I take 5 or 6 clips, I'm trying to crunch them into the editor and make it entertaining and condense it. And I can't even do that. And then Brett makes the magic with getting it all put together for real and then posting it. So it's not as easy as people might think.
Right.
Now, of course, and you know software and video stuff and all your computer work. You're a computer wizard, I would call you.
That's a stretch.
No, I don't think so.
It seems
you are a computer wizard. Here's where you cross the line.
I'm no Gandalf.
Here's where you cross the line of being normal or less than normal, like me. Okay. Challenged.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. If you drag your mouse off the side of your screen and it goes to another screen, and you know how that works, you are automatically at least level 1 wizard. Now there's lots of levels.
Okay.
And I could make them up right now and tell you what they are, but
I don't know that we should
I haven't
go
done
that
that
high.
yet in my mind. So right now you're looking at 3 screens. So you're 3rd degree.
Yeah. Okay. 3rd degree
belt. I don't know. I was going to make up something good.
I appreciate the status clout there. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that could crush me with their wizard skills. So
they're not as good looking as you.
And we don't know that either. You can't see them; they're behind the screen. Back to the build.
Yeah.
Microphone. Back to the build. Where did we get to?
Framing and sheathing.
Okay, windows and doors, do they go into the framing part, or is that sort of separate?
Yeah, so something, a nice rule of thumb, and this could be helpful for anybody building their own project or whatever, is that when you design your house, you got to decide where's the windows and doors going, where are they going, and how big are they? You don't have to know all the details of each specific unit, we'll call it, because when you go to buy them, they'll give you 1,000 different options.
Yeah, how it's going to open, what color.
And you'll have to cross those obstacles. Some people don't even realize they get to choose. Hey, if you have a sliding window and it's 2 panes, one slides and one doesn't. So you have a fixed and an operable panel. Well, which one do you want to be sliding and which one fixed? And most people, it just blows their minds right there and they get stuck. Well, I don't know. And they try to have a really meaningful thought about it.
Yeah. What if I make the wrong decision?
I know, is the pressure. So, either just pick one or whatever. Maybe you have a good reason. And then see when we're putting them in, we have to know, okay, we got 5 of this exact same window. 3 are made one way, 3 are made the other way. Which holes did they go in? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Unless it's, all specified, or unless we're the ones dictating which way it should go. So at any rate, when you have what's called a window schedule, which simply is a list of all the windows and all their sizes, it's a really great idea to order your windows before you start framing, because it used to take 2 to 3 weeks to get a window order, like an average, builder grade window order in vinyl. But now it takes like months and months and months. I don't know if it's just people are getting behind. I don't know if the process is taking longer. I don't know if there's just not as much inventory. I don't know what is the deal.
Yeah.
But if you order a custom, my dad is calling me. I'm going to call him back in a minute.
I called you twice now.
I know. I'm like, what is he doing? Anyway, yeah, you better order your windows ahead of time, or you'll be sitting there waiting on them forever.
Yeah.
And you'll be ready for them, and you won't have them. And I don't know if I've ever had a window order that didn't have something messed up about it. It's like anything. If you go to a fast food restaurant and you order food, there's a good chance one of your things you order is not going to be in your bag.
Right.
And that's why I check my bag before I leave the drive-thru. I do. I'm so tired of not getting what I ordered.
Make sure you get your Gondita crunch wrap thing.
Yeah, that's right. Extra beans, please. All right, a window order is no different. Everything you do, you better check the whole list and make sure everything is accounted for the moment you get it off the truck, because there's almost always something missing. That and cabinets. Man, you order cabinets, either something's smashed up,
right,
or missing. So just word to the wise, check your complete order. Mm-hmm. Now you can't do that while the truck driver's sitting there. He's not going to wait for you. You just got to sign the paper and say, yeah, I got it. And then it's up to you to sift through it all. All right.
You sure? I think they're supposed to wait.
Well, I mean, they count how many boxes you got, I think.
Yeah.
And you got that many boxes, maybe it's good to go. Yeah. But so, I know we can't go exactly step by step through every part of the process and in great detail, at least. But that's, like I said, that's what the
other channel
Perkins Builder Brothers channel is doing in great detail, actually, of every step of the way.
Yeah, and that's sort of, we're getting close to where you're at right now. Doors and windows are in. You subcontract out HVAC, electrical, plumbing. Mm-hmm. Is that's all happened, or is it happening now?
No, typically get the windows in, because, like, say you install ductwork for your heating system and you have ducts that go in the floor, and you don't have your windows in, and it rains and the rain blows in, it goes in your duct and makes a nice little swamp in there. Mm-hmm. That eventually will be problematic. Even if you don't know about it, you'll find out one day that something really bad has happened. And that does happen and has happened to some people that I know. Not me. Wink. So all your mechanicals, it's nice if you can get a company that does all your mechanicals together. There are companies that do that, electrical, heating and air,
gotcha, and
plumbing all together.
Okay.
Because they're all going to be fighting for space in your house to put all the stuff in there.
Right.
And man, if I could show you a picture, I would right now, of all of the ductwork and all that stuff in Brock's house. It looks like a lot, because it is. Yeah. It's all like crossing, and just barely fits, and some places are really concentrated with a lot of mechanical stuff and plumbing, and then some places are more empty.
Yeah.
But my job is to help communicate between every subcontractor to make sure they get the space that they need without blocking somebody off from a space that they need. Mm. And how do you divvy up all the space if it's tight?
Who likes to get in there first? Who's most competitive?
Well, my electrician is always the most eager one to get in. Right. And he's also the one that should not be there the first.
Gotcha, because he has the most probably flexibility.
It does, absolutely. Yeah, the plumber is probably the least flexible. Mm-hmm. The pipes have to go downhill in some places. Yeah. They're mostly going straight lines, or they would like it if they could. Yeah. They can do all kinds of magic, but
you don't want a bunch of elbows in your plumbing.
If you can help it.
If you can avoid it.
So they're the least flexible, and they require, like, I think the first option to get in. Okay. I like to get my heating and air guy and the plumber there at the same time, and just let them kind of hash out the space that they need. And then they could each get started at the same time and stay out of each other's way, ideally. But there are times when I end up, let's say the plumber got done and he left. He got his inspection, everything's great. Well, then my heating and air guy comes in and he says, look, that pipe right there,
it's in my way.
it has to move or it has to get cut. Even if it's a supply line, just like a 1-inch diameter water line, pressurized line. So there's one time that happened and he needed to run like a big duct through an area like that. And so I said, all right, well, I'm going to cut the water line and then I'll call the plumber and get it. They can go up and over. There's no problem.
Gotcha.
There's no problem here, folks. I'm going to cut it. So I cut it. Well, guess what? Jamie forgot to call the plumber.
Oh, no.
I never called him back. I forgot. And the way that they put the duct was like this big. It was like a foot diameter flex duct. And the pipe, I cut it just tight enough. It looked like it went right through it. It was touching both sides. And anyway, I bet that's happened. I bet somebody's put one through one. I didn't do that. But anyway, that's what it looks like.
When did you discover that?
Well, on the last inspection, I think it was the electrical inspection. I had an inspector on the job and we were getting ready to put insulation and drywall. I mean, we were getting so close to covering it up. And it was right over top of the kitchen too, in the main level in the living room, all was in the same area. And my inspector, thankfully, saw this. Yeah. And he just pointed up to it and he looked at it and he kind of pointed it out to me. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. I thanked him probably 20 times.
That would have been so bad.
Dude, it would have got covered up.
Oh yeah.
The water would have the house would have been finished. I mean, 100% finished. And then the water would have got turned on.
And a 1-inch line is going to spew
and it would have flooded
water.
That place like so bad.
Wet insulation, wet drywall.
And, I couldn't help.
Wet floors,
it would have ruined. And there was a whole basement too under it. It would have been so bad. It would have been so. And you know what stinks? Who would have been responsible for that? The guy that cut the pipe. Me. I don't even know what happens in that scenario. I'm sure it happens. I mean, we have insurance. We have general liability insurance.
Yeah.
That, will cover that. I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
I guess that's what it's for. I don't know if it's for failure
self-sabotage.
Or if you're an idiot and you just do something stupid. I don't know. But I hope I never have to find out what that insurance is for, I guess.
Wow.
That's
a scary story for sure.
Yep.
I had that happen in here, not to the same level, but when I was redoing, I forgot to crimp one of the lines going to the hot water heater.
Really?
Yep.
Just forgot to crimp
one little elbow.
You know what's bad though is that the uncrimped ones look very much like a crimped one.
Yeah.
Can you tell even?
Yeah. It was just I was in a rush
by looking at it,
and I was like, I'm gonna get this in here before I have to go do something so that I can mark it off my list. And I ended up having to redo it after.
In a hurry.
It was not great.
Bad things happens. Happens. Bad things happen sometimes when you get in a hurry.
So you subcontract all that out, and then you subcontract out the roofing as well.
I do,
because that's coming up.
I do. I'll tell you a good reason too. It's hard work, and we're not covered under our insurance policy to do roofing.
Gotcha.
We can build a roof. But we're not allowed to put shingles on it. I mean, I don't know, whatever. The workman's comp deal or whatever. We are not covered for roofing, and the roofers are.
Gotcha.
And I am not sad at all about not roofing a roof.
Yeah.
And they're twice as fast as you.
Yeah.
At least.
I am happy nowadays. I am happy knowing that when I put the sheathing on the roof, if I put zip system down and tape the seams or tar paper, whatever it is, and I get off the roof,
you're done.
I don't go back.
Right.
I don't want to. I always end up having to look at something up there at some point. But
right.
I love the idea of framing the roof and not going back.
Yeah. So that that's going to come. Homeowners going to pick out, if they haven't already, what kind of roof they want.
Yep. Shingles, metal, whatever.
With that, I mean, is that, the inside subcontracting is done with all the mechanical.
Yep.
Going to get an inspection.
Yeah. Every part of that has to get inspected. The plumbing, mechanical, which heating and air. When I say mechanical, I don't know if anybody. I'm talking about the heating and air system. HVAC.
Yep.
We went over that, didn't we?
HVAC. Yep.
Yep. And then electrical, and then you're basically in framing.
Yeah.
Framing. Now here's a weird thing. All right. For inspections, you got to get a framing inspection, right? Now, a lot of times we're not 100% done framing when we're starting to get our trades in there to do the subcontract work. We might be still working on this and that a little bit. And so we may not have our framing inspection, but they don't want to approve your framing inspection until all of those things are put in, all the subcontract work, because they might cut something they're not supposed to cut. Like they might cut a floor joist almost in half. Now, obviously, if you have good subcontractors, they know they shouldn't do that. But sometimes people do it anyway.
Yeah.
They might saw right through there and severely compromise your structure.
It happened in old homes a lot, it seems like.
Yeah.
Like with mine.
Like notching the bottom of a floor joist to put a piece of plumbing through, whatever.
Yep.
That's not good. Now, there's ways you can fix it and all that, but so that's why they don't want to give you an approval on your framing until all those other things that, they go in there and hack holes and stuff, and most of the time don't cause any problems or whatever. But I have had a few things where they drilled a hole in a joist and it was needing to be reinforced, on both sides or something, sistered on or whatever. And, the inspector may have caught one or two things that I didn't even see. And so I actually like getting houses inspected, especially framing, because that's the bulk of my work as far as like the structure of the thing is, if the house is structurally sound, it's the foundation of the framing. I mean, that's what makes it structural. So the inspector, some people don't like to get inspections. They have to get inspections, but they don't want someone looking at their work and picking it apart. I actually invite that because if somebody sees something that I missed, like that water pipe that I cut, holy moly, if they're like, hey, you need a header on that. And did you, that's a load bearing wall and you didn't put a load bearing header in it, I would be really glad to have that pointed out. I'm not upset that I have to do the work. I'm just happy that, hey, this didn't get by and then get covered up, and then I would never know, and then maybe have a problem in the future.
Right.
Yeah. So I like it.
Then comes insulation.
Insulation.
And do you choose what insulation it is, or does the homeowner choose whether it's sprayed, or does everybody just do sprayed insulation?
It's very popular, open cell spray foam insulation. We're going to do some on Brock's house, actually. And I'm glad because I don't know exactly why, all the science behind it, why it works this way, but we are not putting any vents into the attic space. It's just really roof trusses. So it's not like an attic you can go crawl inside of. It's a inaccessible area, but we're going to spray foam what we call the roof deck, which is the bottom side of the roof sheathing. You could put fiberglass there, but it'd be really difficult because of the shape of the trusses in the roof trusses.
Okay. That
it's really difficult to get fiberglass insulation to stay up in there and to stay in its place.
Gotcha.
And they use these little metal spline looking things. It looks like a little skewer or something. You might cook some.
You say skewer?
Skewer, like a skewer. Like a, what do you call it?
Skewer?
Skewer? Is that what, are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, I think so.
A skewer, like you would...
kebab?
Kebab, that's it. It looks like that, except really skinny and flexible. These little metal, they call them tiger teeth, I think.
Okay.
And they are little flexible metal things that they shove up in between the rafters and floor joists and hold the fiberglass insulation in place. Okay. But the little tiger teeth things don't play nice with trusses so much.
Gotcha.
And there also could be voids in it, in between the trusses, if they don't fully touch and fill the space of the thickness of the truss. It's really tough. And insulation actually is heavy.
Yeah.
Fiberglass. You ever picked up a bundle of insulation?
I have.
Holy moly. These guys that can take like a bundle, which is like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 like bags or whatever that are all, stuck together. They're so heavy.
Not as heavy as a bundle of shingles.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. I hate carrying shingles.
Dude, I moved some that was left over from this house the other day. And I was just like, man, these guys that like pick 2 of these things up, throw them on their shoulder, and they scale the ladder. And I'm just like, I couldn't do that.
I am such a wimp when it comes to shingles, especially shingles.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I'll carry 1 bundle at a time, or if I'm not in a hurry, if I have to carry them, I will cut it in half, and I would take half of them out.
Right.
I will.
It is when it's like carrying a dead fish, you know, like it's a big dead fish.
I am.
So it's insulation. Then you subcontract out the drywall or finishing interior. Well, if it wasn't drywall, would you do the finish? Like, what if it was shiplap?
Yeah, if it's all wood, we put it all in.
Okay, you just don't do drywall.
And at the same time, we'd be getting the siding put on the outside, you know, as the drywall's going in. Usually, so once the drywall is in or going in, you know, that can take a week to a month.
But you're doing siding now on Brock's house, and there's no drywall.
There's no drywall.
Or insulation.
No. We're getting behind. That's why it's taking so long. Because I'm trying to get all the engineering. I actually finally did get it all for the framing for some things that were non-conventional. And now I've got to submit that to the building department.
Gotcha.
And, you know, my framing inspections got pushed way back, like a month. Yeah. So when I thought I would get it, a month later, still haven't got it.
Oh.
And we're just trying to get it now, you know?
Yeah.
So siding, you want to get the exterior finished up, you know, so you don't get any water or anything coming in, of course. You know, the roof, definitely got to have a roof on, or have, be sure that your house is not leaking in the roof at all before you do insulation. You know, like we don't have a finished roof covering, like the metal roof is not installed, but we're going to insulate because we need to move on with the job, but the roofing is taking longer to get it ordered and to get everything like figured out.
Standing seam?
It is. Yeah, it's going to be a standing seam. And all the soffit and fascia details with the metal that's involved, all the soffit, fascia, and roof is metal, which is a little I don't know if it's out of the ordinary, but it's all going to be steel soffits, steel fascia, and a steel standing seam roof. So the guy that's doing that for me is, you know, having to get all this material custom made, you know, for the lengths and the shapes of the profiles of all the trim pieces and all the flashings. It's almost dreadful. I'll be honest. It's almost dreadful to have to think about getting all of this stuff.
And they don't do the gutters, the same company?
They can.
Oh, okay.
They can, and
Gotcha.
they probably will.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so getting all the flashings around the chimneys and all the areas that need siding above a roof. So almost anytime we have siding above any given roof, we're going to try to put in a flashing and do the siding and the painting before the finished roof material goes down. Because I don't want to be up there on a ladder and accidentally kick a bucket of paint over on a finished roof. What would you be doing then? It happens. I've done it. Get the hose. Oh, there is no hose. Oh, there's no water. Oh, there's no power. Oh,
problem.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so right now that is the phase that we are at, is trying to wrap up the whole exterior, and you're going to drive up to the house. You're going to look like it's going to look finished until you walk inside. And then, so yeah, drywall, and we don't do drywall. Unless it's just 1 or 2 boards or whatever, but a whole house we don't have never done. And I hope and don't think I will ever attempt drywalling a house. Yeah. I mean,
now are you going to paint this one?
The guys don't want to paint it, but I don't know. I love painting.
Like the inside.
Yeah.
Because you already paint the outside boards before they go up.
Yep. We pre-paint them and then paint them again in place afterwards.
Right.
You know, that you can get pre-painted siding that is totally finished also, which we've done in the past, but I've had mixed results as far as not scratching it. You know, it's you have to handle it so carefully. Right. From getting it out of its packaging, it's bubble wrapped and all this stuff, and getting it on a sawhorse, cutting it, transporting it into place, nailing it up, and not scratching it is actually pretty tough.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
So you might paint the inside, you know, even don't give that away yet. I mean, just so
I don't know.
The crew doesn't
Do you know it's so expensive to hire a painter? I'm whether we get paid to paint it or whether the homeowner is paying another person, another company. Dude, you probably have never got a quote on painting. No. For anything? I mean, a whole house or anything?
I did
outside,
it myself.
Inside, you did it?
Yeah.
Well, you did yourself a favor. Yeah. And I'm not saying that that's bad on painters. I'm just saying to do a good job, there's always more to it than you think. You know, it's like if I said, hey, your house is going to cost $20,000 to paint the outside. What would you say? Say, I'm going to do it myself. Forget you.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, because it's different than the roof. Because that's sort of what re-roofing costs on that house over there.
Is it? Yeah.
It's like 17 or 18,000. But I would never be like, I'm going to do it myself.
No, it's less tempting.
Can't even pick up one bundle of shingles.
I could. I don't want to, but I have. I mean, I've roofed houses. For sure,
but when the crew that re-roofed ours is just like, it's like 3 days.
Yeah,
they're
so fast.
Dude,
they're good at
crazy.
And that's another thing with drywall too. Is like the guys that do drywall or the guys that do paint, the guys that do anything that they do, whoever they are,
or gals,
they get or what, or gals. Yeah, of course. They get so good at what they do that you can't even compete.
Yeah.
Unless you got time. Like if you paint your own house and you're like, it could take a month, I don't care. But a professional might come in here and do it in a day or 2 days. And so.
Time value of money.
Oof.
It's a whole nother topic. Brett likes that one. All right. So after that, you're going to move just, we haven't gotten there yet with Brock's house, but you're going to go into flooring, trim.
Yeah. So
you're going to paint before you put floor down, right?
Definitely drywall and then paint the drywall. And then we have some high ceilings to do trim on, like wood ceilings. I like to do all the high work first, get it done. I mean, totally done. So we're going to be rolling scaffolding around.
Gotcha.
I don't want to be rolling around on top of a finished floor and worried about dropping my chisel and, scratching the floor. And, you can be a little bit messy with the paint and not hurt anything. That's good. So yeah, we'll go straight from drywall to paint drywall to install any woodwork, trim, ceilings, to installing floors.
Okay.
And then interior doors and trim. So all the window trims, all the baseboards, all the doors. And then by that point, you're looking at a pretty finished house. I mean, the only thing left would really be like cabinetry, kitchen, and countertops. And you walk in and you see finished walls, finished ceilings, doors, windows trimmed out, and you're pretty much done. Sounds easy.
Then cabinets, kitchen
well,
stuff.
Yeah, kitchens. Yeah. Typically
vanities, bathroom stuff.
Yeah, we most of the time we put cabinets on top of flooring. Like if you're going to do tile or wood flooring, you would floor the entire space underneath the cabinet and then set it on top. Some kinds of flooring though, you can't do that. Like, LVP, snap together, floating floors.
Yeah.
You're not meant to put heavy objects like fixed cabinetry on top of them because it'll make them buckle. They need room to expand and contract and move a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in that case, you would not put the floor in until you did the kitchen. But it gets tricky with doors and stuff. You don't want to hang your doors and then have to slide all the flooring under your door jambs and trim. Right. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Dreadful. I've done it. I know it's awful. So your order of operations can really speed you up or hold you back, Anyway.
All right. And then it'll be close to done. You'll whatever. After that, it's light fixtures and other finishings and
Yep. Yeah, pick out your lights.
And you can see you're almost to the end of the tunnel,
get
right?
Get the electrician in there, get all your light switches, outlet covers, and what else? I don't know. That's really almost it. I mean, by that time you're thinking
furniture.
You're already thinking about the next house. You're already gone. You're gone to Carolina in your mind because you're there's not a lot to think about.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing else to figure out. We didn't talk about decks or anything, but of course decks would, decks and decking, handrails, all that outside would happen, right after framing.
And do you finish, if it's not, composite decking, you finish, you would do the finish work on that. We'd stain it or
stain the decking, stain the handrails if it's wood.
Yeah.
We haven't really used wood handrails in a while.
Yeah, it's either like metal or cable or...
Yeah, I mean, the norm for us was wood picketed handrails, and you can get the materials at the store. Everything is available. You can build it quickly. It's, I think, relatively cost effective compared to other options. But because of the maintenance issues, we've kind of gotten away from that and gone toward other materials, composite top caps or aluminum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So then it's pretty much done.
There's done.
Man.
We built a whole house.
There it is.
All those pretty
steps.
much. We virtually did
steps.
anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a lot more that could be said about every part of this. But for now, that's the high view, overview. We'll call it.
Yeah. All right. I have. We don't have a ton of time for questions today, but there is one email I want to read that was very interesting.
Okay.
That I don't, and Jamie hasn't even read this. He doesn't know about it.
I don't know what you're even talking about.
It's, let me find it here. I should have had it queued up already, but it was, Brett went through and forwarded it to you, I think. There we go.
Okay.
All right. This, so this is from a guy named Brent Perkins.
Really?
Same last name?
That's my name.
That is your name. All right. And it says, from a 16th cousin to Jamie and Eric. Hello.
He's my cousin?
That's what he said.
16th cousin?
Yeah. Down the line.
I don't even know what that means, but okay. Carry on.
So, I unsuccessfully wrote y'all some weeks back and decided to try one more time here.
Okay.
You must get a ton of emails, so that's cool. He's cool with it.
Well, of course he's cool with it. He's a Perkins.
My wife and I were recently in Bryson City and picked up some merch that I'm pretty proud to have. I'm a former television film editor, engineer, and newscast director from St. Louis and Memphis. I now work as a PIO for the I'm not going to say where he lives. For a fire department.
Okay.
In Tennessee. Anyway, not long ago, a sponsor who had something to do with family ancestry was featured.
Yep, I remember that.
I wanted you all to know that genealogy is a true passion of mine, and I can show you your tree all the way back to the very first Perkins in the early 1300s.
What? What? How do you do that?
And so I can even point you towards Ufton Court in Berkshire, England, an estate once owned by our ancestral Perkins that still stands today. It's actually now a small school.
Whoa. Where is it? What did he say where it is?
It is in Ufton Court in Berkshire. I guess it's called, it might be called Ufton Court, but it's in that area in Berkshire, England.
Berkshire, England. I'm going to have to look it up. I'm going to have to look it up.
I only wrote to say hi and nothing else. We'd love to say hi properly someday, and also see the completion of the current home build, warming up episode 87 now.
Wow.
By the way, you have Perkins relatives who were iron workers on the Gateway Arch in St. Louis.
Wow.
My father, Albert Perkins, and my grandfather, John Perkins, both set steel on that job. My dad was up top when they set the keystone in that arch. So anyway, y'all have a great presence and ideas. Take care and keep swinging the hammers. So sends you signs off with some blue skies from Brent Perkins.
Wow, Brent Perkins.
Brent Perkins.
Brent Perkins. Well, Brent, thank you so much,
dude,
for writing in and doing the research. That well, if it's your passion, maybe it wasn't too hard, but that sounds pretty hard to me.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy.
Yeah.
Where'd you say Burke? What?
Berkshire, England.
Is that like town? Burketown?
I don't think
Shire,
so.
Like a town?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
fantastic.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure somebody knows more about the shires and what they meant in English culture.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm impressed. I'm fully impressed. I think my knowledge of my family genealogy history is limited to my grandparents' parents.
Yeah.
And not even all of them. I mean, just maybe I have a hammer that has I guess it would have been my great grandpa's initials carved into it, and that's like as far back as I know.
Well, I mean, some people really get into it. I mean, and like my sister, is into, tracing genealogy and ancestry and all that stuff. But, and it's, and which is really cool, but it's just not been a passion of mine to like dive into. But, and it's like, so, but it's really neat to hear about.
It is.
For sure.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he has the report or whatever it is that he's assembled the family tree.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to think of.
If he knows he's your 16th cousin, I'm pretty sure he's got a flow chart.
I bet he does. I bet it's extensive.
Yeah. That's, but.
All right.
Well,
thanks for finding
his
that.
phone number and his email here. So
okay.
We'll stay in contact. Yeah.
A lot of people have asked, you can repeat this. A lot of people have asked what you did with
Oh, okay.
We talked about that. Yeah, we talked about, Brett was saying there's a lot of people that ask about the property that you all bought. And I think we talked about in episode 1.
Yeah.
It was one of the questions that somebody had asked.
Well, yeah. Okay. We did a little video called our biggest project ever, I believe. And it was about a 10-acre piece of land that we were going to build, maybe 6 to 8 homes on and do some spec building. And we never did. And we ended up selling it because we've had so many good custom homes to build. That we just never had time to do it. And it was looking like it was going to continue to be this way. And so we're just like, let's just turn it loose and let somebody else build over there. Yeah. So that's what happened to it.
It's gone.
It's gone. Somebody else has it. Somebody else will build out there.
Yeah.
So that's all good though.
Cool. Yeah. And that's, like I said, we're getting pretty far into it here, and my bladder says it's time to stop. But
yeah, that's all good. Well, it's been fun, and I'm out of tea, and I knew that we'd stop talking when my my cup got.
Well, your
empty.
Phone is blowing up over there.
So
too.
I know
you're a needed man today.
I know. My dad is back from Florida, and he's been helping me do some stuff. So, all right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us. As always, we had a good time, and hope that you did too. And I want to encourage you to be curious, and if you don't know, just ask.
See you next time.